Everyone always saw Damien Holt as the man who controlled everything. The markets, the media, the numbers, the decisions. The billionaire CEO never bent, never trembled, never doubted.
But tonight?
He stood in the dim, flickering hallway of a nearly empty hospital, with hands shaking, voice cracking, and eyes full of raw fear. "Please, just make it fast," he whispered. Not to a doctor, not to a nurse, but to a single dad standing near him. A stranger in old jeans, worn shoes, and tired eyes. A man named Elias Rowan. The man who would change everything. White medium star the night everything collided. It was supposed to be a normal evening. Damien had been rushing from a meeting when he received the call that shattered him. His mother had collapsed. The woman who raised him alone. The woman who defended him when the world mocked his poverty. The woman he pulled out of hardship and into comfort. Now she lay somewhere behind those cold hospital doors. Unconscious. Critical. Damien had raced into the emergency ward, but the corridors were overflowing with patients and staff, Christmas lights hanging half-broken from the ceiling. He was used to private hospitals' VIP wings. But his mother insisted on helping at the community shelter that night, and fate led her here. Tonight, money didn't matter. No luxury wing. No private doctor. Just fear. White medium star collision of two worlds. Damien was pacing like a trapped animal when a small voice tugged at the air behind him. "Daddy, my tummy hurts." He turned. A little girl in a pink coat was holding her stomach, trying not to cry. Beside her was a man, maybe early 30s, tall, rugged, scruffy, and exhausted. He lifted his daughter gently. "I know, baby.
Just hold tight.
They'll see you soon." Damien's chest tightened. They looked
poor.
Worn out. Completely overwhelmed. But what struck Damien most was the man's patience. He stroked his daughter's hair, sang softly to her to distract her, rubbed her back while she winced. Damien hadn't seen that kind of tenderness in years. But fate wasn't done with him yet. White medium star when fear breaks a man. A nurse finally approached Damien. "Sir, your mother's condition is not stable. We need a consent signature to proceed with an emergency procedure." He grabbed the clipboard so fast his hand shook. "What procedure? What does she need?" The nurse hesitated. "Sir, it's best if our staff explains. But the doctor is still attending multiple cases. You may need to wait." "Wait." Damien's voice broke. "She doesn't have time." He wasn't yelling. He wasn't angry. He was terrified. The nurse flinched, not because he was loud, but because he looked like a man falling apart. Damien stumbled to a plastic chair and dropped his head into his hands. For the first time in years, the powerful CEO whispered into the emptiness, "Please someone help." And, unbelievably, someone did. White medium star the stranger who sat beside him. Elias Rowan settled into the seat next to him. He didn't say a word at first. Just sat there quietly, his daughter asleep on his chest, clinging to his shirt. Damien wiped his face with shaking hands. "Why are you sitting here?" he muttered. Elias shrugged gently. "You look like you needed someone near you." Damien blinked. People usually approached him for money, favors, business. Not comfort. Not presence. "You don't even know me," Damien whispered in disbelief. Elias smiled softly. "I don't need to know you to sit with you." Silence.
Warm.
Strange.
Human.
Then Damien asked, voice breaking, "How do you stay so calm? You're waiting, too." Elias looked at his daughter. "Because she needs me calm. Kids feel everything. If I panic, she panics." Damien swallowed.
How?
"How do you hold it together when someone you love is hurting?" Elias thought for a moment. By remembering that being strong doesn't mean being fearless. He turned to Damien with gentle eyes. "It means showing up anyway." Damien let those words sink deep into the parts of him he'd ignored for years. White medium star father's wisdom. They sat in silence for a moment before Elias spoke again. "Your mother?" he asked softly. Damien nodded, throat tight. "She raised me alone," he whispered. "She worked 12-hour shifts so I could finish school. Everything I am, it's because of her." And now, his voice broke again. Elias placed a steady hand on his shoulder. You're here. That's what matters. Damien closed his eyes. No board member. No lawyer. No executive. No partner. No one in his world had ever comforted him like this. But this man, this stranger with worn-out shoes and tired eyes, was giving him the one thing he didn't know he needed: human kindness. White medium star, a heartbreaking reveal. A doctor called out across the hallway. Mr. Rowan? Elias stood immediately. Damien watched as the doctor spoke to him, and saw Elias's face fall. His daughter needed tests, medication, immediate treatment. Damien watched the man's trembling hands reach into his pockets. Empty pockets. He didn't have enough. Not even close. The doctor lowered his voice apologetically. We can treat her, but you'll need to handle the deposit. Elias nodded, trying not to fall apart. I'll figure something out. His voice was breaking. Damien felt something twist painfully inside him. This man, who had given him strength when he had none, was drowning silently 2 feet away. White medium star, kindness comes full circle. Without thinking, Damien walked up to the receptionist. How much is the deposit for the child? The receptionist checked her screen. $1, $9.80 for the initial treatment. Damien pulled out his card. Put it on this, he said firmly. The receptionist froze. Elias froze. Sir, you don't have to, Elias began. I know, Damien said. Which is exactly why I'm doing it. Elias's eyes filled instantly. Why would you help us? He whispered. Damien swallowed hard. Because you helped me when you didn't have to. And there it was. 2 men from different worlds. One wealthy, one poor. But tonight, both broken. Both scared. Both fathers in their own way. And now, bound by kindness. Elias had never seen a man look so powerful, yet so painfully small at the same time. When he walked back into the hospital room after signing the medication approval forms, he found Rowan, the feared, respected, endlessly efficient CEO, sitting on the edge of the bed with his elbows on his knees, had bowed like a child who had been fighting storms alone for far too long. And for the first time, he looked like someone who desperately needed help. Elias approached slowly, his voice gentle. Mr. Hale. Rowan, are you okay? Rowan exhaled shakily. I don't know how to do this, he whispered. I don't know how to slow down. I don't know how to trust anyone. And I don't know how to feel normal anymore. Elias sat opposite him, pulling the small visitor's chair closer. You don't have to know. You just need someone willing to walk with you until you do. Rowan lifted his eyes, and the vulnerability in them pierced Elias in a way he wasn't prepared for. The moment everything softened, a soft knock came at the door. It was Maya, Elias's 7-year-old daughter, holding 2 tiny juice cartons and a packet of cookies. Daddy, she whispered. Can I share with your friend? Elias turned, startled. Maya, sweetheart, you shouldn't wander. Rowan interrupted, his voice barely a breath. She wants to share? With me? Maya nodded enthusiastically. You look sad. Mommy said when people look sad, you should share something you like. It helps. Rowan swallowed hard, his throat visibly tightening. Nobody shared anything with me in a very long time. Maya climbed onto the chair beside him and placed the cookies gently on his knee. You can have the whole packet, she said cheerfully. Daddy says good people should eat something sweet when they're tired. Rowan's eyes shimmered. For the first time, he wasn't the CEO. He wasn't the man with a calendar packed every 5 minutes. He wasn't the man begging nurses to rush things. He was simply a lonely, burnt-out human being, receiving kindness he didn't know how to accept. Rowan turned to Elias, voice cracking. She's incredible. Elias smiled softly. She's my whole world. And you're raising her alone? Rowan whispered. Yes. Rowan looked at Maya again, then back at Elias. I'd like to help. If you ever need anything at all. A pause. And not because I feel obligated, but because I haven't seen a father love their child like this in a long, long time.